Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. So, today I have a special treat. This is the very first time I am interviewing someone. I've got Azren, who runs the Calgary Language Nerds, with me today. So, let's
Hello.
get right into it. Hi. Um, so, let's start with your background. How did
Sure.
you get started with what you do?
Weirdly enough, it started a long time ago. So I was a teenager. I was 15 years old, and I went to France for 3 months on like an exchange trip. I lived in a very rural town with a family in their home. Went to school there. There's like 500 people in the village, and
Cool.
so very, very, very few people. We went to school in the city, and the city was more of a town. There's like I don't know 60,000 people, something like that. And it's just like really, it was so enjoyable to learn French in that environment. So when I came back, I thought to myself, wow, I really like French. So the next step was learning Spanish. We had my high school offered Spanish. I really loved Spanish class. All my friends were there. The teacher was great. It was so fun. And I was like, okay, I like French and Spanish. Okay, cool. These are the two things I like. So in university, I studied French and Spanish. And I was
Mhm.
like, okay, that was my major. Those were my two majors. I
Nice.
also discovered linguistics, which I didn't even know what the word meant. I was like, what is linguistics? It's like, oh, it's a
Yeah.
study of language. I was like, language? Well,
Yeah.
which language? Like,
What
no,
does that mean?
language, like all of them. I was like, what? So I learned all the languages anyway, so I didn't know what it meant. And I like
Mhm.
linguistics. Oh, I like linguistics and French and Spanish. Okay. And then I was like, wait a second, I like language. Oh, I see. I just like language as a whole. And I was like, so when I was like 15, I made a list of 8 languages I would learn. So I'm going to learn 8 languages. I made a list. I'm still working on the same list.
Okay.
Um, and I was
What's
like,
your
this will be the thing that I'll do. Like, this is going to be my life. And like, this is what I'll do. And I don't know what that'll look like. I didn't know career
yeah.
wise. Like, maybe I'll be a teacher in a school. Maybe I didn't know. But I was like,
Hmm.
at 15, I was like, languages will almost certainly be the thing that I do. I just don't know what form that'll take. And I used to think it was French and Spanish. And I didn't really know, again, what it would look like. But that was yeah. And
Yeah.
then this business I started 10 years ago. So that
Cool.
was in, how old was I? I was 20, so I'm 33, so it was 23.
Okay.
Yeah, I was
Like
23.
how old
That's
you
right.
are
So
now,
yeah,
minus
minus
10. What
10.
is that? We're
Yeah.
language experts. We can't do math.
Yeah, so 23 is when I started this business, so 10 years ago.
Okay, cool. So what are the eight languages?
So there's the original list and then there's a slightly modified list, but it's pretty much the same. So original list: English, check;
Mm.
French, check; Spanish, check; Gujarati, my family's language, which is mostly Czech, but there's a lot of work left to be done. So Gujarati,
Okay.
Hindi, because it's very weird for Gujaratis to not speak Hindi. It's a very unusual. You don't see many Gujaratis who don't speak Hindi. So yeah, so
Okay.
Hindi, I should. It's yeah, Hindi,
Yeah.
Mandarin,
Yes. Good.
Arabic,
Uh-huh.
and then Russian.
Yeah.
So those are the eight
Okay.
languages. Now this is slightly amended list because I rather randomly on a whim started to learn Ukrainian. So now Ukrainian's on there. So I
Nice.
was like, well, I'll probably do Ukrainian and Russian. And now I'm like, I like Slavic languages. I'm like,
Yeah.
maybe I'll do like, I don't know, like Serbian or something. Like it's just like, I don't know. Like, I'm not sure. Like I'm like, maybe I'll just do like a
Yeah.
bunch of. I like these Slavic languages. I might do a bunch of them. And like, but
Hmm.
well, I don't know. We'll see. I haven't decided, but pretty much it's the same list. And I've
Yeah.
considered adding like another African language at some point in my life. Like maybe like I don't
Cool.
know, like Swahili or something. Like just something.
Oh yeah,
I don't know,
Swahili's cool.
just for
Something
fun.
something with clicks in it, maybe. That'd be fun to
Sure. Yeah, I
learn.
don't know. But I don't know. I don't know if I'll have time. My whole perspective with language when I learn them is um and this is a pretty common theme in my life as a whole is I will stick with one thing for like 10 years. And I
Oh,
will get
okay.
very good at one thing. Like I'll just like stick with it and I'll just stick
Yeah.
with it and like that's just what I do. So like Mandarin, it's been an 11-year process. Like I'm still
Mm.
11 years in and I'm still on Mandarin. Like I'm doing some Ukrainians and stuff like that too, of course. Gujarati, like I started to study 8 years ago. I'm still on it. Like it's so I don't know if there'll be enough time in my life to get to all of them. We'll see, but
Yeah.
yeah,
And it's so hard. I know actually you posted on Substack recently about learning more than one language at once, which is really difficult.
really
You're
difficult.
you're not alone in that. Everybody struggles with that. But yeah, if you want to learn all of those languages, you kind of have to overlap them a little bit. But if you can maybe a beginner in one, intermediate in one, and advanced in one, maybe it won't just blend together as
Actually, I
badly.
just do one at a time.
Oh yeah, okay.
Pretty much I do one at a time. I found that when you split your attention, it's just I was splitting my attention before. I did for about 3 months. I'd never done it
Mhm.
before. I'd never split my attention. I was like, let's just see what happens. And I was pretty consistent, 45 minutes a day, an hour a day. Like that's quite a bit in my books anyway. And I was like 3 months later, I was like, I don't feel like I'm any better in any language. But again, when you do 45 minutes split among three languages, that means you're doing 15 minutes a day per language, which is not all that much, all things considered.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, okay, that's so I actually probably have gotten better, but I don't feel it because it's split. So now I'm doing 80% Gujarati. And then if I'm
Right.
really bored of it one day, I might do some Ukrainian or do some Mandarin or whatever. Like I'll do one of those two, but it's 80% a Gujarati focus right now.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you even started learning Hindi yet, or that's just a goal for later?
It's a goal for later, but it's so close to Gujarati. I think they have like a 70 or 80% lexical similarity.
Okay.
And the
Yeah, that's
alphabet's
nice.
pretty much the same. Like it's like
Oh,
it
perfect.
looks similar. Like the letters even look similar. Like it's so similar that
Hmm.
the more Gujarati I learn, the more Hindi I automatically know. It's actually quite funny. Like the more I learn Gujarati, every time I go and listen to Hindi, it's easier and easier and easier and easier. And I'm like, oh,
Great.
and then I make mental notes like, oh, that's how the future. Oh, I know the future tense now. Oh, I didn't. Oh, that's just easy. I could even use it in speech if I wanted to. Oh, that's pretty good. Okay, oh, that's easy.
Perfect.
So most Gujaratis they just speak Hindi. They just speak it. They just kind of just speak it. But you're like, how'd you learn? Ah, I just kind of
Just picked
picked
it
it up.
up. It's
Yeah,
in
and
the
I
area.
understand that feeling now. It's like, oh, I can
Yeah.
see how you would have. Hmm.
Have you tried the same thing with Ukrainian and Russian?
I
I'm
haven't some
sure if
Ukrainian. I'm
you
just doing like only Ukrainian, but I'm feeling it to some degree because a lot of Ukrainians will mix some Russian in anyway. So I can like I don't
and they're
know, but I
so
haven't
similar. You could, after you spend a little more time on Ukrainian, listen to Russian and just see what you understand, because I'm sure you'll understand
totally.
some of it.
Yeah, totally.
Um, yeah, my heritage is Ukrainian,
Yeah, you
but
told me last time I talked to you. Yeah.
yeah, sadly, I don't speak Ukrainian because my family, when they came to Canada, it's very common to, unfortunately, they only allow English in the home because they want their kids to be proficient in the language where they are. So my grandfather was not allowed to speak Ukrainian in his home. And so we never got to learn it, which, that's unfortunately common. But I have studied some Ukrainian, and it's very soothing for me to listen to because it does remind me of my family. But yeah, I would love some more time to work on that. I'll get to it eventually. Um, so yeah, very cool. Okay, yeah, there's so many languages you can learn. I get lost in, oh, I want to do this one and this one and this one, and I don't think I have the same ability that you have to just narrow it down and focus on one thing at a time. I'm always in the back of my mind. I'm like, oh, if I'm studying Ukrainian, maybe I should be listening to Russian and Czech and Slovak all at the same time. It's like, no, no, calm down, just do one thing. Um, yeah, okay. So, with the Calgary Language Nerds, you've been doing that for 10 years. I love that name, by the way. That's great. It just feels like such a natural name because that's what we are. I actually
Well,
went to,
it's a kind of a funny thing because when I first started to do all this language stuff, I wanted to have like an internet name. Like I was like, what should my channel be? What I was like, well, it's gonna be, and I didn't know if I would. In fact, I actually thought I wouldn't hire anyone. So prior to this business, I had another business for 5 years, almost 6 years actually. It was a window cleaning business, and
okay.
at that business, I had at the highest, I probably had 20 direct reports. They each had probably three to, let's say, 1 to 5 people who are working for them under them. So it's something to the effect of like, I don't know, 50-ish people in your little division. And I was like, and it's just like so many people. And I was like, man, this is like really stressful to have that many people. So I thought to myself,
I
I'm not
bet.
going to hire anyone. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know how this whole language thing will work out for me, but like, I don't want people working for me. Like, I don't want to do that. So I actually thought I wouldn't do it. So what I initially I was like, well, I want a name for myself, but I was like, what do I call myself? Just Azren? I was like, I could do that. I was like, am I Azren the language genius? I was like, that's a really like, that's a very like pompous or not very like you're very full of yourself. I was like, I'm also not a language genius. Like my language expert. I was like, I don't think I'd be like 22 and be like a language expert. That doesn't feel right. This didn't feel like what
Yeah.
am I? And
What
I guess I'm a language nerd. Like a nerd just loves something. I was like, I guess I'm as a language nerd. And I was like, nerd. I mean, there's not a good some with some people. There's not a good connotation on the word. I was like, that's probably the right word though. Like I'm gonna stick with that word. I didn't realize what a strange word I picked because then when I tell people, there's a visceral reaction to my business name. It's so funny because later I did hire people and I was like, you know what, I can do this. I can hire people. It's gonna be fine, and I did. Um, and I was like, well, I can't be just Azren the language nerd. Like I need like a thing. I was like, okay, well, Calgary language nerds. I'm in Calgary, and it used to be very, very local. Now it's online and everything. So it used to be
Right.
all Calgary
Yeah.
and all in person, all Calgary. So it just made sense. But
Yeah.
anyway, it was like a kind of a visceral reaction to the name. Like, what do you do? Oh, I run the Calgary language nerds. The what? Nerd? Like it's a 50% of people will ask me like, wait, nerd? Oh, interesting. And there's kind of like a oh, like that's a
That's
very it's a
that
very like it's
word.
almost like they have something they want to say, but they're scared to say it. It's like
Yeah.
I've always want to know what that thought is, and I can see it on their face. Like you are clearly thinking something, and I don't
Yeah,
know
but
what it
what is
is.
it? Speak your mind. We're Canadian. We don't speak our minds.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I feel like the word nerd has changed a lot in the last 10 years, though. Like, there are people who just love that word now. And yeah,
Well, that's what
I'm a
I thought. I thought
nerd.
it's a positive word. I thought it's
Yeah.
positive, but clearly, when I can just see on your face, like it's a very visceral. Like it creates a reaction in people. Like the Calgary language nerds.
Nerd?
Oh, it's like I'm like, well,
Don't call
that's
me
the name.
nerd.
I'm not changing it. It's been 10 years. I'm not changing it. Like just gonna leave
Yeah.
it. It hasn't like how it, like, clearly it's profitable and works. So I'm just gonna leave it. Like whatever.
Yeah, well, and people remember it if they're having a visceral reaction. Like, yeah, what was that nerd company?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I
They'll
do
be
get
good
honestly,
teachers.
I do get people like it's funniest things like, oh yeah, how are like they people ask you how are the nerds? How is like Calgary nerds or how are like the like I get also when people that don't know me well and they kind of like bump into me, hey, how's your nerd business? It's like, oh, it's funny. It's funny what sticks. It's just very, very interesting. It's like I don't know what's going on. But that's like my life in many ways. I was talking to my mom the other day even, and she was telling me about this social interaction with someone, and I was like, oh, really? Did they think XYZ? She's like, did you not notice? Like, yeah, I noticed there's something off, but the problem is in my life, I see so many things. I'm like, there's something going on there. There's so many things I can't explain that often I've decided like just let it all go because I don't know what the hell's going on. I don't know what's going on. Clearly, there's a bunch of stuff happening that I'm not privy to. And like, well, we'll just
Hmm.
kind of let that be. And I was like, yeah, I noticed that. And so kind of live in my own little bubble and just do my thing and let the chips play out. Play out.
Yeah, and clearly it's working for you.
I guess so. Yeah, I don't know.
So how much you have staff working for you? How many
Yeah.
staff members do you have now? Is it as big as the last business?
No, 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 absolutely not. So that business was a franchise. So
Ah,
they
okay.
operate around so like so I was a franchisee for 4 years. So I was like a business owner, and then for almost 2 years I was like a general manager. So I operated a division. So that division had 20 some
Oh,
odd
yeah.
franchisees, and they had whatever. So it wasn't like there's yeah. So I haven't grown my business. I've not grown to that size. But no, no, no. It used to be. So I used to have about trying to remember actually. At the peak at the most I used to have was about 20ish,
Hmm.
like mostly tutors, mostly
Hmm.
for like different languages. Because I used to offer like a lot more languages than I offer now.
Oh, okay.
So pretty much the model was it used to be something like this, if I like you and you offer a cool language, I'm like, that's cool, and I like you and you're good at your job, like I'll hire you. And then your first student is me. I'll learn some basics just so I understand roughly with the language how it works,
Hmm.
and then like I'll just advertise it and like if people sign up, yay. If they don't, well, sorry, you don't have a job. Like
Yeah.
very, very simple, like really simple.
Very
And so
simple
like
business
I was
model.
like,
Yeah.
I don't know if people will sign up, but oh, you want to teach Cantonese? Yeah, sure. I would love to offer Cantonese. Oh, you want to teach whatever, I don't know, you want to teach like it'd be completely like if I thought it's cool
Yeah.
and I thought you're good at it and I thought I liked you and I wanted to support you.
Yeah.
It's very binary. So if you're like, I want to do what's a language I wouldn't say like if someone's like I want to teach like like what's a language I'd say no to? Actually, it's funny because they're all really cool. I'm like Mongolian, yes. I said yes to a Mongolian person. Why? Anyone. I had to like you though as a human. I had to really want to work with you. I'd want to work with you. And
Mm-hmm.
like yeah, so like I Blackfoot for a while, for like
Oh,
2 years.
cool. Yeah.
We did Mongolian. No one signed up for Mongolian, but I had Mongolian for a while. It's kind of cool.
Hmm.
And all sorts of different languages. So, but yeah, that's how I used to do it. So I'd have a lot of tutors, and they'd all be working. And
Mhm.
later, I kind of decided changed it. So now there's far fewer. There's just like a few. But there's a different model now. Now it's much more um very very high standards to who gets hired, and it's very very um, very niche, I suppose, is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
So it's about like you
Niche.
have to, yeah, like you have to measure, like I have to teach you how to measure fluency. Like no one knows how to
Right.
do that. I know how. I can teach you. You have to be good at
Yeah.
math. Like you have to be decent. You have to be able to do the math. You have to be able to analyze data. And like
Right.
it's about fluency.
That's
It's genuinely about like people coming in want to become fluent or at least take big steps towards it. And
yeah.
so like we have to, if someone signs up, they have to, quote unquote, like
Yeah.
pretty much reach whatever goals they have. Like it's a higher caliber. So it's a different type of student and a different type of tutor that I need. And so yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
understand
different.
that. That's yeah, my students are very they have very specific goals in mind. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not so much I want to practice my English. It's I have a job interview or I'm struggling in meetings at work or things like that. It's very specific and it's very yeah,
Yeah, like
it's
imagine if you had to hire people, like you wouldn't be, you could, but like you'd have
yeah.
to be like you'd have to like really vet and like be like, is this actually right? You know?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And you don't yeah, you wouldn't have to know how to do math for me,
Sure.
but you would have to know vocal muscles and how to
Yep.
train and it's like I was talking to my physiotherapist the other day
Mm-hmm.
actually and he's giving me exercises. I had shoulder surgery a year ago. So he's giving me exercises to get my shoulder moving and I was like, this is very like I feel like what I'm doing is like physio for your tongue.
Yep.
And I give exercises that are
Well,
very similar.
that's a big thing about like so literally like right before we started, I said I needed a second to write a note down. I was like writing something, so I just seen someone, and like that's a perfect example where so what I learned was that um there's two different ways to there's two big things that you need to help someone to become fluent in a language. Now you don't need them, but I found it be tremendously helpful if you have both. One of them is the emotional side of things. So it's like encouragement and making sure they like it and having fun and things that a lot
Yeah.
of people do, and there's many ways to do it, of course.
Mhm.
But the other thing that helps tremendously is math. And you can use math in many ways. So math,
Mhm.
for example, in I'm gonna count. We're gonna find a way to assess your vocabulary size. We're gonna track that over time, or we're gonna look at
Mhm.
your speech rate as a measurement of your fluency, and we're gonna see if in 6 months your speech rate has increased, because that would be in the most technical sense to see how fluent, strictly fluency, no grammar, but strictly, right? So there's lots of ways to use math. There's many ways to use math. So this person, for example, the way that we're going to use math, we're going to do a modified I have one of the things I'll measure is called translation reliance.
Mhm.
Translation reliance means out of all the words you say, how many were, let's say you're a French student, how many were in French, how many were in English? Like because a lot of people have the ability, but they'll switch to English because they're uncomfortable. It's not that
Yeah.
common, but it's common enough. So for
Mhm.
this person, I was like, well, hang on a sec here. You're switching to English so often. I was like, I don't even want to tell you. Like, I don't even want to tell you what it would be so high. So what we're gonna do next time is I was like, we're gonna have a conversation because you can. We're gonna count how many times you switch to English, and then over time we're gonna try and reduce that number down to zero. So if
Yeah.
you switch 75 times, which really might be the number next time, and
Mhm.
then you see, and she's like, oh, we're an accountant. I was like, well, I was like, yeah, it's kind of like a test in a way. I'm not testing you. We're just trying to get a baseline. We're gonna try and like reduce it. She's like, oh, right. So that's like it's a way to use math.
Nervous.
So math is a very powerful tool. I find it's a
Yeah.
teaching tool. It's a teaching, not a teaching tool, but it's a tool to help someone to really become more, not necessarily fluent, but whatever goals they have, improve their grammar, become more fluent. improve pronunciation, whatever it is, we can use math as a tool. So I think it's both
Yeah.
sides when you blend them. Very, very, I've never seen something more powerful, honestly, in my, what is it, 18 years now of being in language. Like I've not seen anything that's more useful than blending the math and all the good practices of teaching languages. Like all the stuff you would have, all the good practices for teaching language, all of them, there's many good practices. You
Yeah.
combine that with math, the right numbers with the right measurements at the right time. Oh my
Hmm.
God. The it's wild what it's like magic what can happen. So
Yeah, very cool. That's a lot of linguistics is data analysis. I had to do a lot of it for my degree because yeah,
totally.
you have to measure minute things, but yeah, so how hmm. So your tracking system, do you call it a tracking
Sure.
system?
I just call it
Um,
quantitative assessments in my head. Like, yeah, it's
quantitative
just in
assessments.
my head is I want with students, I just be like, yeah, there's assessments. I don't really say quantitative. In my head, it's
Right.
quantitative assessments. That's what I call them. Yeah.
Yeah. But you're already making them nervous enough because you're tracking how many times they switch. So you don't want to use the word quantitative as well. We're just going to assess it. It's going to be fine. Um,
Yeah,
I
we'll just do an
find the
assessment.
word, yeah, the word assessment tends to be stressful for students.
Yeah.
'Cause I do assessments as well to assess,
Yep.
their pronunciation and where they're at, and they get really nervous as soon as I use
Yep.
the word assessment, and you have to be like, no, it's not going to be bad.
I go the
It's
other way
just
actually. I'm like, yeah, it's an assessment. Like it's gonna be you'll be really nervous and like I don't know. We're gonna do them like
yeah,
all the time. Like we don't want to do them. Is we don't have to work together. Like it's pretty straightforward. Like I don't have to beat around the bush with the words. Like I'll comfort you and but like we can change we can call it a check if you want, like a level check, or we can like but it's I don't it's kind of a general that's another thing I've learned too is like I found that it's a lot easier to I've learned this from a few different people. It's almost easier to just at least for
just
me,
tell
to
them
just
they're
say
going to be
it. Like yeah,
nervous.
it's not that
Yeah,
like, yeah, you might be yeah, you're gonna be nervous and like that's cool. Like
yeah.
that's fine. And like we can make it a short assessment. We can change like we can make it more comfortable, but like it's an assessment and like we can do it in a month if you want. Like we can delay it. We can work our way up to it. But like I do want to see so you want to do XYZ, you want to be more fluent, you want a better grammar, you want to be whatever it is.
Hmm.
I know that there's two sides to this. There's a lot of the language practices, like just how to teach stuff and whatever. I know that there's like your feelings, and I want to make sure you feel like you're getting better. And I
Hmm.
know that the math will help us. Well, if we can bring in some of the math, like even just a little bit,
Hmm.
we don't need all of it because it can get overkill very fast.
Yeah.
That which is a whole other skill I had to learn. Actually, it was very hard to learn what math do I need at what time because there's so many things you can track. I used to track everything with everyone.
Yeah.
Very overwhelming. You don't need to. I had to
Uh-huh.
learn like, okay, what's the order of things to assess? When do you assess? And so 95% of things I could assess, I never assess. I assess like
Okay.
two things per, I don't know, like two, like just the things that you need.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then yeah,
That
and then
was,
I think when you reduce the parameters of assessment too, like I think it's a little bit more manageable.
yeah, for
It's not like, hey, we're
sure.
gonna do like 6 hours, we're gonna do a 6 hour battery of assessments. Like no,
That's,
it's gonna be like 10 minutes. We're gonna do like a 10-minute quick thing. Do you have 10 minutes? Okay, cool, let's do it. Cool. All right, done.
yeah, just
Paste,
fit it
paste.
in.
Just 10 minutes.
Um, that answers one of the questions I had for you was how many things do you assess for students?
There's a lot. Like there's a
Generally,
lot I
there's a
could.
lot, but you break it down.
Yeah.
So overall, if you were to assess one student on everything, would it take you 6 hours?
Depends on the level. Depends on the level
Okay.
and depends how accurate you want to be.
Right.
If you want to get
Wow.
like a real, so I'll give an example. Let's
Yeah.
say I wanted to know your grammatical accuracy. Okay.
Okay.
Here's a here's a quick way to do it. Here's a quick and relatively accurate way to do it. Relatively keyword,
Yeah.
right? We could have a 5 minute conversation
Mhm.
and maybe a little longer, maybe 10 minute conversation. We can just chat in a very free flowing way, like kind of like we're talking now, just talk,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Maybe me as the tutor, I might have a few different questions I've prepared, but they don't know you don't know that as a student. Like I might have a few things to push you into certain tenses to see what happens. But like,
Right.
but you
Yeah.
don't necessarily know that, and I don't necessarily need
Just
them. What's
steer it.
interesting? But it's just interesting to see what people use naturally. Even that alone is good because if you don't know it well, you won't use it. That's a good general rule of thumb. If you don't know it, you don't use it. It's a good. If you're not comfortable with it, you don't use it. So what people use is what they're most comfortable with. So I'm sure
Yep.
if someone listened to all this stuff we're talking about, I'm sure if they did a tense analysis, you would see that we're using a lot of different, like we are using present perfect. Like if someone listened, that's a past tense, like already instantly, what you're going to see is what you're going to see. If you, that's a future, like instantly, you're going to see tenses being mixed. That's just normal. That's how people talk. So you don't
Yes.
even need questions prepared, really. You just need them to talk to you, and then you get to see their
What are they
grammar. So what you
using?
could do is in
Yeah.
10 minutes, you can talk to them, do a tense analysis. What tenses do they use? How often do they use them? What's the accuracy? And that gives you a score. Now, the more accurate way to do that would be to do that like 20 times to make sure that the results are consistent.
Yeah.
But like but do you need it to do we care if your accuracy is 89% or 91%? Not really.
No,
Not
that's pretty
really.
close.
It's very high.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what you
Once you're
should
above
know.
80, you're doing good.
Like it's
Yeah.
89 or 91, like I don't think we care. It's not 99 because that would be different. That'd be different,
Yes.
right? So it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. So you could, and I used to make that mistake a lot, where you just you don't need, or even like speech rate's another one. That's like a good measure of fluency. If
Hmm.
it's 20 words a minute, or 27 words a minute, or 31, it's not the end of the world, really. It's kind of like, okay, you're 20-ish. The lowest I've seen is 17. The highest I've seen is 35. You're always in that range. Great. Perfect.
Okay. Yeah.
That's all we need to know. Like we don't care. It doesn't matter. You're not 57. You're not 92. You're 17 to 35, depending on the
Is
topic.
good.
Great.
Okay.
Mhm.
So do you to measure speech rate, do you record them and then just count the words, or do you
Yep.
have a better way?
Yeah.
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 Literally.
And like there's
Yeah.
other ways to do it that are like that are a bit more automated, but they're a little less accurate.
Yeah, okay.
But like
Yeah.
there's some like here's an easy automated way. I can just give you a list of questions,
Hmm.
make you talk, like turn on Google voice typing, you just talk, and then it does a word count automatically. Like that's easy enough.
Oh, yes, of course.
But like it doesn't also most people when they feel they don't talk very fluently, it's because
Hmm.
they have clunky speech.
Yeah.
It's relatively rare for someone to talk very, very fluently and feel like they don't. That's relatively rare, relatively.
Hmm.
So honestly, I don't even have to record you sometimes because you talk so slow. As you talk and be like one, I guess off screen be like one, two, three, four. Okay, you said 37 words in 3 minutes. Great.
We're gonna work on that. Yeah, okay. So the language nerd in me wants to know, when you're counting words,
Mhm.
what is a word?
Good question. Yeah.
For
So
example, I
go
am
ahead.
going to versus I'm gonna, like we talked
Mhm.
about last time, native speakers love to shorten things. So how do you measure that?
So first of all, language learners don't do that. They don't say I'm gonna. So you don't have
No,
that problem very often. You generally don't have
no.
that problem. But if they did say I'm gonna, I'm
Hmm.
going to. That's 3 words.
Okay, so you do
Now,
measure it
here's the
as
thing though. It doesn't matter as long as you're consistent. It
yes,
doesn't
right.
actually matter if you're like, well, no, I'm gonna count it as I don't know. It doesn't matter as long as you're consistent in how you do it every time. That's what matters. What matters is you're just tracking the growth, and you just want to make sure you assess the same way. And then, and also, I'm not a scientist. Like, and also the students don't. If it's slightly off, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You
Right.
just got to be close enough, and that's fine for like
Yeah.
99.9%. That's close enough. Like, and that's totally
Yeah.
fine, right?
Yeah. And at a certain point, language is subjective anyway, so it's not
Exactly.
yeah, no two people speak exactly the same. So
Sure.
yeah,
Right. We
that's
just
very
know. I just
cool.
know that there's ranges. So if we look at again,
Yeah.
we come back to speech rate. Speech rates, weirdly enough, it's actually not all that important, even though we talk about it a lot, because you
Mm,
can't really. Speech rate is more of a result than it. Like for example, something like a like if I tell you what's a good example of that. Um, if your vocabulary is low,
mhm.
like low as in like you don't know a lot of words, we can work on your vocabulary. It's like, okay, vocabulary is low, problem to be solved, listen and read. Don't study
Mhm.
word lists. That generally is not great, but just go listen and read, and that's going to increase your vocabulary. That's going to work. And that's great. Speech rate, you don't work on speech rate by working on speech rate.
Right.
Generally not. There's a couple exceptions, but generally not. So
Yeah.
speech rate's more like, okay, here's your speech rate. We can't really improve it. What we have to do instead is we have to increase your vocabulary. You have to learn this. You have to do this other thing. And your speech rate should naturally just kind of get better because you're getting more comfortable. You're getting more words and da 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 da, more practice. And it should
Yeah.
just go up. And the only time you'd actually work on it is if, so this student who I worked just before I saw you, perfect example of it's like, okay, look, she studied the language for a long enough period of time where it's like, okay, you should be able to talk relatively fluently. Number
Mhm.
two, she studies like hours every day, like
Mm.
3 hours, like it's hours. So like, okay, so you've done that for a long time. Great. Vocabulary test scores relatively high. It's like, okay, cool, your vocab's there. Grammar, I haven't done a spoken grammar test, but I'm just like a very basic written one. There's no
Mhm.
major grammar. There's some, of course, not perfect, but like you got a good grasp of grammar, good enough. Your pronunciation decent, no issues, no major issues. So it's like, okay, everything is checking out, but you talk like like a beginner, like a low beginner.
Yeah.
That shows me that okay, we clearly have a technical speech rate problem, which means that you just don't talk. You haven't opened your mouth and talked. So I need
Hmm.
you to open your mouth and talk to a human or to yourself. I don't even care. Like we just need to get your mouth moving more often
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that's the heart of the issue. But most of the time, a low speech rate, it's not the
Yeah.
problem. It doesn't matter.
Wow.
It's just like a thing. It's like okay, you have that. Cool. Okay, one lovely.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I was actually thinking, get them talking. One of the things I tell my students sometimes is just to talk themselves through their own daily routine
Mm-hmm.
in English, right? So get up in the morning, I am getting out of bed now, and just talk through all of it and just, yeah, just talk. And you don't have to be talking to somebody, but just use those muscles
Mm-hmm.
and get yourself talking. And if you're really nervous to talk to people, talk to yourself and talk about what you're doing. And then you don't, yeah, it just keeps you speaking, which is, sometimes people feel awkward initially, but I just say, no, just do it. Just talk to yourself.
Yep.
It's fine, right?
And even for like
Um,
in my case, like it's there's very easy like there's like ridiculously simple drills to give someone like okay, there's websites that are called random word generators. There's a lot of them,
I
and they
love
give you like
them.
a word or a question or a topic. Like
Yeah.
there's like thousands of them. You'd pick one,
Hmm.
go to it. Okay, cool. Pick a question, pick a topic, pick a word, whatever you want. I don't care if it's a topic, I don't care if it's a word, whatever you're comfortable with, doesn't matter. Set a timer for 60 seconds, and it's like answer the question and then do another one 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 and then just do as many. 60 seconds is long enough. Like people, it's actually a hard time. It's actually hard to give a 60-second monologue. It's not easy. Like it's actually
Yeah.
tricky. It's actually not easy.
Huh.
um it's like a super 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 simple thing to give someone that they can just do. They can just do it. Like it's not like whereas like
Yeah.
talking to yourself is like for awkward for some people, and like you can just
Hmm.
do it. Like just like okay, what do you think about the ice caps melting, glaciers melting? I was like, oh, I don't know. What do I think about it? It's like kind of stop and think, and then it's in French. Like oh well, oh my god, so many words I don't know. Okay, I don't like this topic. Another topic. Okay, next. Like you know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter. Like you can just go to the next one. Sure, who cares?
And then you know what words you don't know.
Bingo. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
and it's remarkable what you can do. So I did a 30-day speaking challenge in Ukrainian on myself
Okay.
because I noticed I had a speech rate problem. Like I literally had a speech rate problem. Like that was my issue.
Huh.
It's crazy in 30 days. Like I doubled it. Like that
Yeah.
means I got twice more, and I felt more. I was like, oh, I actually feel more confident. Like it's
Yeah.
really, and I've done that probably with probably 20 people, maybe 10, 20 people, and like, and every time,
It
yeah, in
it
like
helps.
30 days, like
Wow,
they have a
that's cool.
significant improvement. It's like, do you feel more confident? Yeah, I do. Okay, cool. I can see it numerically. Wonderful, great.
Yeah. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really cool idea with the random. I've used random word generators for different things, but I never thought of telling them to just talk to it.
Yeah, because you
Just
wouldn't know what to say. Like, what do I talk about? I don't know. Well, pick a random topic.
yeah.
Okay, there's websites that do it. So
Yeah, that's really cool. Good idea. Um, So the I've completely lost what I was going to ask you there. Um, oh, speech rate. Yes. So I'm curious about because I know it's more common to speak more slowly, hesitancy, lack of confidence, but I've also had students who just rush through everything to a point that you can't understand them at all. And it's just kind of blah, 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 blah. And I think, okay, you need to take a breath and calm yourself a little and try that again. And I'm wondering if there's a percentage, like how often do you get one or the other? Do you get the
Almost
fast
always, almost
talkers?
always, almost always too slow.
Oh, okay. So it's
But
much
but
rarer
but
to
here's the
have
thing though,
the,
when it's probably not too fast. They probably have a pronunciation issue. That's probably a separate category. That's probably a
oh
separate
yeah.
assessment. It's not a speech rate issue. They're talking. It's very rare that they're actually talking too fast.
Mm.
If I were to have it, I have actually one person who's like that right now. I'm thinking,
Hmm.
he's like an advanced. I do some volunteer teaching as well, and I have a
Nice.
volunteer student. Like it's English teaching, and it's like anyways. I do some volunteer English teaching, and one of the students I teach, or the student I teach rather, not one of them. The one student I teach, he's kind of like that in a way.
Mm-hmm.
In a way, he's like that, where it's like
Okay.
if you
Interesting.
were if I had no ability to assess, if I didn't have any math behind me, I would
Yeah.
just think the guy needs to slow down. That's what I would think.
Mm-hmm.
But we did an assessment. I did one. No, he
Mm-hmm.
actually speaks slower than he speaks about 33% slower than native speakers do. But you wouldn't think it. You wouldn't think that. You'd think he's like
To
rushing.
listen.
But actually he's
Uh-huh.
33% slower than the average English native speaker, at least North American. I was like, well,
Yeah.
that's interesting. Huh, I wouldn't have thought that. Like if you'd ask me, I'd be like, no, this guy, no, I would have told you with confidence, like, no, no, this guy, trust me, I know. I've met a lot. I was like, I know. But I was like, wait a sec, no, this guy, no, he doesn't. That's weird. Um,
Yeah.
but instead it's more like a clarity thing. It's more like
Yeah.
being articulate and like pronouncing it well, and not just having random sounds in between words. Like I literally mean random sounds. Like when
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of like vocal fluff that isn't real words. They're just like not even like filler
Yeah.
words. They're not even fillers. They're just like
Just
noise,
random vowel sounds.
just random vowels and like just noise and clutter. Like
Yeah.
just like now having someone like that slow down would have the effect of cleaning up their speech, because they now have to speak consciously, and so all that fluff
Yes.
goes away.
Right.
But it's not technically a speech rate problem. It's a pronunciation based thing.
Hmm. Maybe that's why I've had that a fair amount because those are the people who look for pronunciation coaches.
Probably, yeah.
Um,
And
yes.
honestly, like it's funny, like it's actually kind of funny that like you're the one interviewing me today, because like your pronunciation, that's like your field. So out of all my assessments that I do, the one assessment that I'm hyper aware is like a lot of my assessments, like I never need to, but I have the ability to get really deep. Like if you really push me into a corner and said,
Mhm.
Azren, I want the most accurate, like I'd be like, we could do it. It's a waste of your time, but we could do it. Like if you really put me in a corner, we can drill it down. You could, in theory, drill it down to something very accurate. So even though what I do is got a margin of error, there is absolutely a way to remove pretty much every margin of error. Pretty much, there's ways to do it. Pronunciation, the assessments that I do, trickier to do that. Like it's more of a basic assessment. I look
Mhm.
at intonation slash stress. They're both done
Mhm.
together. And then I
Mhm.
look at phonemes. That's it. Like two categories. And
Okay.
those are the two things I look at. And but if you really push me into a corner, unfortunately, I know that there would be gaps. So like for example, I have no way to really measure. I could make it up, I could invent something, but it wouldn't be accurate. Like all that fluff, like all the weird vowel. Like I don't know how I would. I could figure it out if you gave me like hours to like really. I could figure it out. I could figure it out. But, like I don't have one now, but yeah,
Well, and I think that that would depend on language of origin too, because different
maybe, yeah.
languages would add different fluff, as you call it. I like that term.
It'd probably be something like
Um,
you probably have to do like an analysis of like you'd probably do a phoneme analysis, an intonation and stress analysis, and you'd probably do I'd probably call it a fluff analysis. That's probably what I'd call it, frankly. I'd be like, well, we're gonna count. Honestly,
I
what I
love
would
it.
honestly, actually, I came up with it. Here's what I would do If I had
Okay.
to, I would
Yeah.
probably do, I need to record it. We do a little conversation, right? I would do my
Hmm.
phoneme analysis, which is doable. I do my little word stress analysis, which is pretty accurate, decently accurate, be accurate enough. There's some subjectivity there, but anyway. And we go, great. I'd write out what you said, your transcript of what you said. Say, great. We're gonna see. Now I'm gonna count between your words. How many words? Like how many of those spaces had a set? Like if the you know what I mean? Like imagine a little essay. You got
Hmm.
spaces between words, right? So you count the
Hmm.
spaces.
Hmm.
In theory, there should be no fluff between every space. In theory, there should be no fluff unless it's a filler word or it's a that's different. That's
Yeah.
not fluff. There shouldn't be random noise between
Yeah.
letters. I would just count. Okay, there's 150 spaces between words. How
Hmm.
many of those spaces did you fill with a random noise? Oh, 150 of them. Wonderful. Your score is 0. Like that's probably how actually that is how I do it. That is how I do it. But thank you very much. I've now invented a new assessment.
Yes. I love it. I would
I will
like
never
partial
ever need it in
credit.
my
Thank
life,
you.
but like I have it. It's kind of funny, like, 'cause I probably have 100 assessments in my head, but I take comfort in knowing that if you push me into a corner,
Mm,
like if a real linguist is like, hey, like I'm gonna corner you, I feel like
please
I
don't.
could be okay, done. Like I will accept your challenge, even though it is a completely useless waste of time for most people. I accept your like I take comfort in that. Like and
Yeah.
for that's yeah, it's kind of cool. That's I like that actually. It's an easy way to measure that for pronunciation.
Yeah, that's very cool. Um, I've been much less scientific about my analysis with my students at this point. Generally, actually, they tell me how they're doing, which is awesome. They'll come to class one day and just say, I had a meeting with my boss. It's normally
Mm,
awful, but today it was
it was
awesome
great.
and
Yeah.
everything went well. And I'm like, perfect.
Yay.
Yeah, that's the goal. So, but then, yeah, that's partly because their goals are generally more specifically outside of the language in the functionality of the language,
Yeah.
not, yeah,
Well, I think
because,
that's the thing, right? Like if you're I think most of the at least in my world, like most of the people who are learning languages, they actually don't use it in their life at all. Like there's
right.
no it's like it's only done in class, like pretty much, right?
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like there's no external validation that oh this is working, except perhaps that they're listening to something or watching something and it gets easier. Maybe there's
Mhm.
that. That's one. Um, maybe, but they don't have it. So I think you don't need it, but I can say this like it's a really common experience for language learners when they take classes, group classes, private classes, any class. It's a very common experience for people to be going to class regularly, especially once you're kind of intermediate-ish,
Mhm.
especially then. Beginner not as much, but intermediate for sure. Where you're like, I don't really know if I'm getting better. Like I go to class and like I guess I'm getting like, yeah, it'll just come with time. Like that's what you tell yourself. Oh, it'll come with time. Yeah, it's just a thing. Just keep going to class, just keep practicing. Yeah, you'll eventually get there. Like, but it's just this kind of this narrative of I'll get there one day. And that
Yeah.
just drove me crazy. I was like, I think I told you, and when we had our last interview that we did,
Yeah.
I think that's when I told you, yeah, where like,
Yeah.
yeah, I did tell you this, where it's like, okay, in my business. It drove me crazy. I was like, what the heck are we doing? Tutors prep for classes, tutors teach the classes, tutors then prepare invoices. They send me invoices. I pay their invoices. Students come to class. A lot of it was in person before. So you actually drive, you get there, and they have the class and they go, maybe they do homework, right? I run this business. There's a lot of effort in that. So the amount of human effort that is going into this enterprise is quite high. And I was
Hmm.
like, and then I just had the data after 7 years. I was like, well, I can look at this subjectively and relatively objectively. Like, well, pretty much no one, pretty much a very small number of people are even remotely close to whatever level they wanted, like whatever goals they had. They've
Yeah.
gotten this much closer, a tiny bit closer, if that. And I was like, this is a like, what are we doing? Like, this feels like a massive waste of everyone's time. It'd be different if everyone's doing it for fun. Like, oh, we just go to like my mom learns French for fun, as an example. It's a fun thing for her. It's just mostly the fun. It's like, what's different?
Nice.
But no, people are telling me I want to get better. And I was like, well, this is a tremendous waste of everyone's time and my waste of my money. And like, it's a waste. Like, this seems like an entire massive waste. Like some government department that has like this doing nothing. It's like, what do you guys like? Anyway, it
Why are
was
you there?
ridiculous. This is so silly. And so where's I going with that?
The
Uh
tracking system is
right, the
to
tracking,
measure
yeah.
that, right?
So the math is to make sure that like it's an accountability it's like an accountability for the person, like, hey, we're gonna check some stuff, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes,
Yeah.
not all
Yeah.
the time, but like we're trying to genuinely get better here. And I don't want you to feel like you get better too. I want your feelings count. It's not just on paper,
Hmm.
but this is the tool we're going to use to make sure you actually get better at this. And yeah, it's very interesting that the vast majority, I didn't know this until later. I didn't realize that the vast majority of people that I'm a very kind of like a literal person in a way. So like if I go to like a language class, I'm like, I'm here to get better at this language. That is why I'm here. Like, yes, I want to have fun, of course, and like, all that too, but no, I want to like learn this language. And I
Yeah.
learned kind of the hard way in a way, where I was like, oh wow, that's not the majority of people. It's
Yeah.
not the majority of people. It's not, their words and actions are in stark disalignment, misalignment. And I was like, wow, that's so like, it's so now the types of people I get, it's a very specific, it's a type of person who's like, oh no, I actually like really want to get better at this. Like I actually want to learn,
Yeah.
but which is fascinating to me. So
Yeah, that is interesting. That's very interesting. Um, I've also had a lot of students who were kind of forced to learn English just in school or
mm-hmm,
whatever, and then they come to Canada without, or the US, because I teach people in the US too, and they never really planned on using their English, and then they end up over here and they're like, oh, I don't actually know how to do this. And yeah, it's kind of one of those, it's an instant shift from, oh, I have to learn this and I don't want to, oh, I need to start actually paying attention to these things, right? So yeah, it's interesting that you say that a lot of language learning is inflicted, I feel like. And it's if you're not really in love with it,
mm-hmm,
it's such a hard task to do because there's so much involved in it. Like you talked about earlier, the emotional side too is very, it's very taxing, or it can be if you're not really into it. But that's really cool, this tracking system.
yeah,
Um, I yeah, I think that was all of my questions anyway. You got to a lot of them naturally, which is
okay,
awesome. So we can wrap this up, but
sure.
yeah, do you have any last remarks, advice, anything you want people to
Just share
know
like a
about?
little anecdote, really, and we'll wrap it up with that, I suppose. Like
Yeah,
I thought of
please.
it right now, and he said tracking. Like I thought, I have a personal trainer, and I go to the gym, and like a lot of what we do is based on a lot of what we do is just kind of based on the goals we set. Where it's like, okay, like I want XYZ things. So, like we know, my trainer keeps a lot of it to himself. I know, but like he does. I know he's tracking like how much I lift and how many reps, and like and he's kind of figuring out how to help me, and he'll give me different workout plans and like, but it's very much based on, I mean, the results that I want, right? And so I'm like, okay, I need to go this many times to the gym and this many extra. Like I kind of know that, right? And then my trainer said the strangest thing to me once, because you know, I he said to me that, I forget how we got on the topic, but he said the vast majority of people that go to the gym, that's not how they train. I was like, what do they do? It's like, oh, you pick up weight and start lifting. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, you kind of pick up some weights, and like they might know the form and stuff because they look up the form and all that stuff, of course, right? But like, it's not like they're like, oh, I want to have this type of body, or I want to have these fitness goals, or I want, so therefore I'm going to make this plan and follow this plan, and we're going to track it. I'll know I'm on track because of XYZ numbers along the way. I can lift more weight here, I can do more reps, I can whatever. And I was like,
Mhm.
really? That's not how most people, like, no, the vast majority of people, that's not how the vast majority of people go to the gym. I was like, huh. He's like, yeah, not really. They might just try and lift heavier. Like, okay, let's try and lift heavier. Like, let's just try to, but it's not like
Yeah.
this methodical kind of. I was like, wow, that's so, like, and I suppose the moral I take away from that is like, my trainer, uh, we've had conversations around, if you want to get better at something, like with your body, like any kind of fitness goal, anything, right? He's
Mhm.
like, it's pretty much everything is possible.
Mhm.
Like if you're like, there's extreme scenarios, obviously, but pretty much everything is progress is possible. And the reason we know it's possible is that you kind of know what exercise to do and you know what would be the progression to get better. Like you just know it's so cold, like you just know it. And if you just kind of follow it, like you can do it in a fun way, you can kind of do it differently. There's different variations, like there's different ways to do it, but there's different
Hmm.
pathways you can take that generally just work for most people, right?
Yeah.
And it just got me thinking about language the same way. It's like, well, that's what I wanted to, that's what I have now as well. It's like, well, you want to get better.
Yeah.
Like there are pathways that just we can track it along the way, is to the extent that is needed for you. So
Track sets and reps and weight, and that's what you're doing for your
yeah,
language
exactly. It's the
learners.
exact same thing, and you only track, but tracking should keep kept to a minimum. Kept to a minimum. Like
Yeah.
only the stuff that like you would need based on the stuff you want. Don't track everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Only practical.
Only practical stuff. Yeah.
What serves you? Yeah,
Yeah.
very cool. One final question.
Sure.
Your staff or your students, do you call any of them my nerds?
I I don't, but I've thought about that. I've like legit thought about like should I like be branding this like, oh, they're like language nerds, like, oh, our language, like I don't know, I feel weird about that. I don't know how my like 77-year-old lady who like learns Spanish would feel about like, oh my God, like I just don't know about that. I'm not sure. Like I'm not sure. Or
That's
like my Mr. Cool like 22-year-old like surfer. I'm thinking this one person like a surfer dude and like this
my
cool.
nerd.
He's like a cool guy. He's like really cool. I was like, I don't know how he'd feel being called. I don't know about that. I'm not sure.
That would be another visceral reaction, I think. Like, what did you just say?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay, well, awesome. Very interesting. I love the idea of the tracking system. It's very well thought out. It's very impressive. Um, yeah, thank you for being here
for sure.
today.
Thanks for doing this interview.
Yeah. All right, so that's it. Thanks everyone for watching.